champions are crowned here in Cary, North Carolina for the 11th time this year. The city plays host to the Women's College Cup. And in this first all-ACC semifinal, we get set to bring in Marion Crowder because, Marion, it is no easy task to see a team 3 times in one season.
Yeah, Jen, these two teams meeting, like you said, for the 3rd time this season. No surprises between these two when it comes to each other. But Leilani Nesbitt told me that there will be no tactics that matter unless they can first meet Clemson's desire to win this game. For Clemson, it's about playing loose, playing with confidence, as they know most of the pressure is on Florida State as the reigning ACC champions and a regular here at College Cup.
Yeah, that is true, Marion. Some pressure on this Florida State team that has handled that pressure all season long, Lori. They come in unbeaten. Here's how they'll start tonight.
Yeah, it's the same starting lineup that we've seen throughout the tournament. They've gone unchanged. Not surprising given how good they have been. And we talk so much about how dangerous they are with those front 5, but they've also been really good defensively. They haven't conceded a goal in the NCAA tournament, and a lot of that has to do with this player right here, Leilani Nesbitt. 2 goals, 5 assists for her. She's their leader, and she is their glue. She's going to have to connect the lines tonight. And then for the Clemson Tigers, only one change for them. We're going to see the freshman Tatum Short come into that front line. And this is a possession-based team, and I would expect at times they're going to try to take the sting out of the game, create some lulls to not allow for the Florida State Seminoles to push the pace. But do keep your eye on the right back of McKenna Morris. She leads the team, 10 goals, 6 assists. Expect her to get up on that right-hand side into the attack and cause some problems tonight.
Imagine the emotions for these Clemson players playing in the College Cup for the first time. Let's love the game right along with both of these teams as Clemson and Florida State kick us off in the 2023 NCAA Women's College Cup from Cary, North Carolina. Jen Hildreth, Lori Lindsay, Marion Crowder will have you covered for the duration of this match. And the next one coming up, BYU and Stanford in our 2nd semifinal tonight. Florida State in white, the #1 overall seed in this NCAA tournament. Clemson in purple with the orange numbers. There is Joe Echegini as she goes by. Dudley, though, is the player to put it into the box against one of the best to ever play between the pipes for Clemson. Hallie Makowitz, an All-American this year. A program record 13 shutouts for her this season. And there are All-Americans sprinkled all over this field and throughout the College Cup. Those were just announced earlier today. 5 of them a school record for Florida State in this starting lineup. McKenna Morris, 1 of 2 for the Clemson Tigers, along with Makowitz. What an incredible job Brian Pensky has done taking over really the dynasty that was left to him at Florida State by Mark Krikorian in his 2nd season. He has done nothing but continue to raise the bar. The Seminoles in their 4th straight College Cup. They won the national championship 3 times, most recently in 2021. Christina Roque will put the ball in play. Tremendous experience for the senior in goal for the Seminoles. 15 career shutouts in the NCAA tournament in her career. Hal Hirschfeld getting on the ball for Clemson, number 15. Keep an eye on her in purple, such an important player in the middle for Eddie Radwanski, one of the leaders of this Clemson team, along with Caroline Conti, who we talked about. Saw Eddie for a few moments before this game tonight and watched him sitting down there just taking everything in. Try to find that right balance of enjoying this historic moment, but also continue to push.
Well, and I think that's the message, Jen, that he's been trying to convey to his players throughout this NCAA tournament, is just making sure that they're enjoying the journey, yes, getting the results that they want, and that is going to be key for this Clemson Tigers team tonight, to create the flow, create the pace that they want at times, see if they can take the sting out of the game, not allow this Florida State team to be able to push the pace like we're seeing right now with Dudley.
Here comes Dudley. That's a win for the Clemson defense to take it off the freshman's foot. What a year for Jordan Dudley. Named a first-team All-American along with Echegini in that attack. Hirschfeld knocked into the scorer's table. Welcome to the semifinals and ACC rivals.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned she is going to be an important piece, not only dictating the tempo for this Clemson Tigers team, but also joining into the attack, looking to see if she can create some problems. And that is a tough challenge on this near side.
Nicholas Balser leading our officiating crew. Here comes Renee Lyles leading Clemson into the attacking third. Emily Bruff getting the start once again in this game. Danny Davis, the freshman, hits it over the top toward Bornkamp, who kicks the wall in frustration.
Well, and I think this is going to be the difference with the Clemson Tigers right now, just their ability to have a bit more free-flowing, playing with confidence. They've lost twice to this Florida State team, won it most recently in the ACC championship game. What did they learn from that? Well, we can play with this team, and we have confidence. This player right here, Bornkamp, will look to win the aerial battle. She'll be the focal point in the attack, and she tried to get on the end of that service from that far post.
Hirschfeld will play it to the back line, now back up front. There's Leilani Nesbitt, key cog in the middle. Taylor Huff, transfer from Tennessee, joining the Seminoles this season, into the box. Huff, flat into the ground. Makowitz got the stop she needed, and then her defense helped her out.
Well, and this is why Florida State is so dangerous, because it's not just one or two players in the attack. You have a front five that can be so dangerous. Huff showing why she's been so important, to transfer from Tennessee, trying to get into the mix, and this is the pace that Florida State is going to want to play out throughout this 90 minutes. A tempo, a pace that makes this Clemson Tiger team uncomfortable, especially defensively.
Lori, to your point about Taylor Huff, you know, we talked to Brian Pinsky yesterday, and he said that she will have massive influence on this game tonight, really as a two-way player, and her ability to run with the ball at speed like we just saw in that last attack.
Yeah, she has really been a big addition to this Florida State team that was already so stacked coming into this season. Echegini, too, a transfer from the SEC in her second year, transfer from Mississippi State. Here's Huff. Ronnie Way now getting up into the box. Mimi Van Zanten, the freshman, trying to keep it in possession for Florida State. Just so many numbers. Everybody on the back line of Florida State getting up into this attack.
We're looking at Hal Hirschfeld right now, but it's going to be Megan Bornkamp on that front line for the Clemson Tigers to make sure that she stakes her ground, wins those aerial duels, but also just holds her ground so she can hold off the defense of the Florida State Seminoles. Be the focal point, be the outlet, so that allows for other players to join into the attack.
Clemson band is on hand. You might hear that in the stands, adding a little pep to the sounds of this College Cup. What a turn by Dudley, but she is snuffed out initially there defensively by Harper White. And we're going to have our first corner kick of the match. Band setting the tone. That's the energy we want. That's the energy we've been getting since well before kickoff here in Cary. Dudley clearly one of the targets for Florida State. Here comes the service into the box, a little short, and it's cleared out of bounds. McKenna Morris, leading scorer for this Clemson Tiger team, but also a very important piece of their defense. Bornkamp, two-time All-American as a defender, now playing more of an attacking role. Clemson having to defend. Here comes Dudley and Florida State again. Jody Brown, a swing and a miss for the Jamaican international.
Well, a positive start for Florida State. just running the channels, getting numbers into the box, and it almost looked like this was a bit of a heavy pass, but Dudley stays with it, gets the open space, and then you have runners. You have Olsen, you have Brown. She doesn't get a good hold of it, and there's 3 defenders around her. That's what it's going to take from the Tigers tonight in order to keep this Florida State team off the board.
Fast and furious, the pace to start this match. It was the Clemson Tigers who got out to a really good start in the regular season meeting between these two teams. It was in Clemson. They lost that one and lost in the ACC championship, but obviously made their way back here. So you have that all-ACC semifinal, and then next up, we go out to the West Coast for the second semifinal. BYU and Stanford. That should be a great one as well coming up after this match. But Clemson, as I was saying, Lori, got off to a really good start in that regular season match. They actually went up 2-0 against Florida State. The Seminoles wound up winning that regular season meeting 4-2.
Well, it was something that Brian Pinsky had mentioned too. That was a turning point early on in this season for Florida State, just to realize they can be scored on. How do they tighten things up defensively? Nesbitt, Huff, that we've talked about in the midfield as well, have been key to that, and being two-way midfielders, tracking back, helping out the back four defensively.
And you'll see Echegini, Dudley, Brown as well. There's a lot of mixing up of the players in that attack. Biana Olsen, haven't even called her name yet. Tough to keep up with this offense, and that's for everybody all season long. Outscoring their opponents 14-0. They've yet to concede, so let's give the defense a little love too. But this offense, #1 in the country in terms of average goals per game, assists per game, and points per game.
Yeah, you make a good point, because Pinsky did say he feels like the back four have a chip on their shoulder. So much accolades, so much of the praise goes to the front five, rightfully so, but the back four are like, hey, what about us?
Yeah, we're doing a pretty good job.
And Roque,
well.
let's add Roque, because can't forget about how good she has been in goal for the Seminoles.
No doubt. We have the only 2 players who have ever won ACC Goalkeeper of the Year. That award was first handed out last year. Christina Roque won it, and then this year, Hallie Makowitz earning the honor for Clemson. Danny Davis, terrific freshman year. Member of the All-ACC freshman team for the Tigers. 1 goal, 8 assists, as she has been a frequent and deadly presence in the attack when she gets up there.
Well, and just that last spell that we saw from the Tigers, Hal Hirschfeld trying to get on the ball, dictate the tempo, that's what's going to be needed for Clemson throughout this game. But just at times, keep the ball moving, but play a bit slower to take the sting out of the game. Not allowed to have Florida State on the ball as much as they would want. And move it side to side, wait for the space to open up. But if Hirschfeld can't get on the ball, can Conti drop a little bit deeper, be an outlet as well? Because that pressure from Florida State's going to come fast, it's going to come furious throughout this game. Have to have outlets, the Clemson Tigers.
There's a big gap right now between the back line and the front line. Now Conti coming back in. Hirschfeld was the only Clemson player filling that space. But the ball does stay just outside the area. Clemson threatening Lyles. And it is cleared away. Crowd will let Nicholas Balser know anytime they disagree with a whistle on the field.
Well, you see Olsen's reaction. She knows immediately, just a high boot right into Davis. Almost looked like she caught her in the face. Just walks away from that. Good to see Davis somewhat unfazed.
And she's tough, no doubt about that. Freshman out of Port Washington, New York. Tigers taking over on the free kick now. McKenna Morris back to Hirschfeld. Davis. Some good combinations for Clemson here. Bornkamp, edge of the area, setting up Lyles, taking her time. A little too unselfish in the end from Renee Lyles.
Well, we've talked so much about Clemson and what they're going to need to do defensively, get numbers back, make it predictable for themselves, but also for Florida State, making sure they don't get too spread out in between the lines. Stay compact, because that's where Conti, that's where Hirschfeld, or even McKenna Morris coming from this right back position can find space, as we're seeing how Hirschfeld right now.
The crowd urging her on as she gets forward. Rough edge of the area for Clemson. Shot deflects a little bit coming in for Christina Roque. Well, Sunday, our featured matchups for the Jimmy V Women's Classic have top-ranked South Carolina taking on Duke at 1 Eastern. That is followed by number 11 UConn against number 10 Texas at 3 on ABC. Then number 16 Ohio State faces number 20 Tennessee at 5 Eastern on ESPN. Of course, you can also catch all the action on the ESPN app. Dudley manages to win it back. Echegini to Olsen. Olsen, somewhat of an unsung hero in this attacking group for Florida State, but can't do much with this possession.
And typically she has been throughout her career center forward, but has moved to that right wing position to allow for Dudley to be more of that focal point down the spine in the attack for Florida State. And Olsen already, just on that last play, just peels herself wide to give herself a little bit more space, but also an outlet for Echegini to be able to find her defeat. That's a little nuance that she provides to this Florida State team, and I think it's the right move from Brian Pinsky, push her out wide.
Florida State has made all the right moves this season so far. Unbeaten, they had their first unbeaten regular season in their storied program history, and that has obviously continued on here through the tournament.
Well, there is the focal point. There is the physicality that you want to see from Megan Bornkamp. And much like we talk about changing in positions, this is a center back that's been moved to that number 9 center forward position for the Clemson Tigers. And aerial presence, at times she will drop deep in these positions as well to help set play, dictate the tempo. Need that from her tonight.
Davis! Roque pushes it wide. That sets up the Clemson corner.
Well, this is a confident start. This is a positive start from the Clemson Tigers. This is your left back of Davis trying to get into the mix, keeps it low, forces Roque to get down, push it wide, and sets up the first corner kick of this game for the Clemson Tigers. And just keep in mind, this is how the Tigers scored the game-tying goal in that ACC championship game. Duff in particular, the center back, rising above, finding the back of the net in that game.
Here is the service from Davis. First touch from Florida State. Not clear yet, though. Lyles touches it down. Shot from distance, knocked down. Bruff, and now it's out. Nesbitt having to come over to the sideline. Reason for a little bit of a delay here. She is sitting down on the ground right in front of the Florida State bench. She took her shoe off.
Yeah, it looks like she's actually switching out her boots.
What might be the reason for that?
Yeah, it depends on if she has studs on or if she just has the regular cleats, but depends on whether she feels like she's not getting enough grip on the grass or it's too slippery for her.
Jen, Lori, they actually summoned the trainer onto the field to check out Beata Olsen, number 9 for Florida State. So yes, while Leilani is on the ground fixing something with her shoe, the trainer is actually on the field right now looking at Olsen.
Interesting. Obviously there wasn't one moment, at least that we saw, that might have prompted the trainer to be called out. Let's see if we can get a look at what might have happened.
I did get confirmation down here, guys. They are checking on something with her head, so obviously trainer getting summoned on immediately.
Yeah, it looked like, Marion, that shot went directly off Olsen's head just a few moments ago. So it looks like she's good to go, and hopefully Nesbitt has the shoe problem worked out. And now we're ready to continue play. No score so far between these two ACC rivals. for Clemson. Never been here before in the College Cup for Florida State. It might be old hat, but this Seminole team very determined to continue on.
Well, and they have to use that to their experience, right, Jen? The Florida State Seminoles. I mean, when you think about the first 20 minutes of these games, 20 to 30 minutes, the fine margins, what is the X factor? Well, for Florida State, that is their experience. So can they continue to stay compact defensively, allow that for them to push the pace in the attack, and try to make this Clemson Tigers team uncomfortable? Because so far, Clemson has looked good. They've looked positive in their play and created some decent chances going forward.
Yeah, Clemson actually out shooting Florida State right now, 5-2. Heather Gilchrist, one of the two center backs, along with Lauren Flynn for Florida State. Morris is ready to go, as is Tatum Short for Clemson. It's Tatum Short who got that play started. Dudley just applying some pressure, not making things easy for the Tigers as they look to play it out of the back.
And that is a great switch to be able to find McKenna Morris on this far side, because now she has a bit of time and space, forces Etchegini to have to track back, defend her deep in her own half.
Hey, you're okay, make a run,
Conti has been so clutch for Clemson this season. Sends Short on the run, and Flynn will just try to see this out of bounds, and does. For Florida State, getting here to the College Cup. Has the Seminole team really been tested? Might be the question. Most of their games were not close. You can see the closest was that Texas A&M game where Jordan Dudley had an absolute beauty of a goal. That was the game-winning goal in that one-goal game. A little push in the back will give Florida State the free kick here near midfield. Who wants it in the midfield? Bornkamp will be the player to get there first. Now Bruck, a sophomore out of Liverpool, England. This feels very different, Lori, than the ACC Championship final. Harper White getting into the advanced position there. Dudley back to defend and winning it back for Florida State. Huff striding past three Clemson defenders, but her pass not quite on the mark for Jody Brown.
Well, and it feels different in the fact that you see the Clemson Tigers taking the sting out of the game, moving it side to side, creating the tempo that they want, and keeping possession. The only thing they have to be mindful of throughout this game is the space and their shape behind the ball, because that is where this Florida State team is going to thrive. As soon as it's turned over, do they have numbers going forward? Right now, it's not coming off for Florida State. Pass behind, too heavy. If they can connect that pass, then they can be dangerous going forward when the ball is turned over.
A couple of things on the sideline here. First and foremost, the direction from the FSU coaching staff consistently has been to press, step higher. They want a lot of pressure on the ball for Clemson. You can tell every single time they win it in the attacking third or lose it in the attacking third, they are asking their players to stay high. Where they have lacked is in their width, though. They are so good transitionally, but they're not expanding the field like we normally see Florida State do.
And that's why it's been difficult, Marion, for them to be able to connect their passes, just narrowing the field too much, and it has to be perfect for them to be able to connect their passes. If they get that right, it could cause some problems. But well done so far from the Tigers to be able to play positive and confidently to open this match.
Etchegini.
Yeah, it's just a rush pass right now, and you almost feel like it's been flipped, the storyline, right? We saw this in the ACC Championship for the Clemson Tigers, rushing their chances, their ability to go forward. Now it's the Florida State Seminoles, knowing that the pressure is on them they're the ones that are expected to be the winners in this game, and Clemson Tigers knew that coming into this game.
Yeah, Florida State scored in the first 7 minutes of that ACC championship game. And then, as you said, Clemson felt like they were pushing and forcing the issue a little bit. Did get the equalizer, but the brace from Echegini was enough to win the Seminoles the championship. McKenna Morris, she's a handful, short. Cuts it back to her left. A little behind, Bornkamp shot is saved by Roque.
We'll expect to see this from McKenna Morris all game long, getting into the attack, looking to create, then they find Short, and this is why she's been inserted back into the starting lineup. Short, taking on 1v1, gets her head up, makes the right decision, and why not if you're Bornkamp? You get a little deflection, stays on frame, forces Roque to make the save. But those are the half chances that you'll be looking for if you're the Clemson Tigers once you keep a little bit of possession and get more numbers forward in the attack.
For the Clemson Tigers getting here to their first ever College Cup. They had a couple close calls. How about having to advance through penalty kicks against Miriam Crowder's alma mater, Georgia, and then that win against Penn State to get here. Clemson Tigers coming in with an awful lot of belief. They've been tested and they've come through. Talk about the Florida State offense, and I felt like they really came out flying, Lori, but weren't able to put it in the back of the net. And now that Florida State defense maybe is going to be more of the storyline as they have to try to extend this incredible shutout streak that they've been on. Just 1 goal allowed for the Florida State defense in their last 750 minutes of play. No goals allowed in this NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's so impressive, and a lot of their defense comes from this front line, their attack. They put teams under so much pressure. One thing to defend for 45, another to keep them shut out for 90.
Here comes Olsen. Quick touch for Dudley! There was some contact there. Morris was right with Jordan Dudley.
Well, case in point, Jen, this is exactly what we're talking about. You find just a little bit of space for Echegini, and then once again, look at the positioning from Olsen. She stays wide, she creates a space for herself, allows for a first-time ball across. So difficult to defend. We don't typically see Dudley missing from that distance, crashing into that far post. 2 defenders around her. They do a good job to keep that one out of the back of the net. But just against the run of play, and just like that, you see how quickly Florida State can attack.
Ball goes out for a goal kick, so Hallie Makowitz will put it into play for the Tigers. Dudley, goodness, her body control. She gets upended by Hirschfeld. A little surprised there was no whistle on that play as Dudley is still down for Florida State. And you almost feel like you need to see a card at some point here. Not that that was necessarily card worthy, but there have been a lot of really physical moments so far in this match by both teams.
Well, she's been a part of a couple big challenges, Dudley, and Hirschfeld is one of those players that you know is going to provide some physicality for the Clemson Tigers. Both of those players just going up, and it's Hirschfeld that gets underneath. Looks like it's a bit more of the fall for Dudley that takes the wind out of her, more so than how dangerous that collision or that tackle was.
An All-American season for Jordan Dudley in her first year with the Seminoles. 12 goals, 8 assists, ACC Freshman of the Year. She's also a Herman Trophy semifinalist. She and Echegini both on that list, both first-team All-Americans, and to come in and do this as a freshman, Lori, it's just so impressive.
Oh my goodness, it's been so fun to watch how dominant she has been, and I'm sure Brian Pinsley's not going to hear this, but I'm saying go to the pros, because you have all of the tools, you have all the attributes to be successful, and we've seen that as a freshman here at Florida State.
I remember back toward the beginning of the season, talking with Brian Pensky and asking about Jordan Dudley, and he said he was encouraging her to impose her will, to not defer to anyone else. And I think she certainly took that to heart as this season went on. Hopefully she's all right here, shaken up after that interaction with Hirschfeld. Well, tomorrow on ESPN, it's the Legends of Basketball Las Vegas Invitational for men's college hoops. USC facing off against number 11 Gonzaga at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. Catch all the action on the app, too. Drop ball is what's going to happen at midfield.
Florida State coaching staff down here urging their players just to take a deep breath and really trying to encourage the back line to not be afraid of that 2v1 situation, allow them to step their lines a little bit higher and really close the gap between the holding midfield players and the back line.
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about, Jen, is just that space that has opened up for either Bornkamp to drop back into, or Conti, if she stays a bit higher, to be able to float into as well. And right now it's Tatum Short that's tucking inside. And more that they can keep compact between the lines, it's going to lead for the Seminoles to be able to generate even more attack and be a bit more calm once they do win the possession.
Florida State right now with just 10 players. Dudley is still on the sideline, has not checked back onto the field yet. Florida State wondering why Dudley has not been beckoned back onto the field. You can hear that on the field mics. It is a fair question. But on we go. Clemson with the player advantage at the moment with Dudley on the sideline. Penske frustrated. Let the fourth official hear it. Hirschfeld and the Tigers on the attack, and Roque probably been a bit busier than she would like in this first half.
Well, McKenna Morris gets higher up the field. It allows Hirschfeld to find these spaces, and there's been good balance between Conti and Hirschfeld in the midfield to be able to dictate when one's going to step forward, when one's going to hold. This time it's Hirschfeld. She gets a hold of it, forces another save from Roque. Does well to keep a hold of it, doesn't give up the rebound. But right now, this is when Florida State, and they're having a lot of issues of trying to get Dudley, who we're going to see, back into the game right now. But there's been a lot of frustration and not a ton in the way of creating a lot of opportunities, pushing the pace that you would expect to with the experience that they've had in these moments at the College Cup. It's going to be about Nesbeth and the two center backs, just calming things down, connecting passes, and then build into the attack.
Brian Penske and his coaching staff obviously infuriated with how long they let Jordan Dudley stay off that field, asking when is that a rule? We're not trying to sub. When she's ready to come on, she should be waved back on. They went a whole entire sequence, several passes, down a man just then.
Yeah, well, probably fortunate for all involved that nothing changed in the scoreline. Now Dudley is back out on the field, but Clemson get another opportunity with the corner kick.
Well, and keep your eye on Hirschfeld, Bornkamp. Those are the players that are going to be looking to get on the end of this service. This could be the difference for this Clemson Tigers in this game. Set pieces, but it starts with the delivery into the box.
The delivery from Davis. Hirschfeld got a touch, still alive in front of the goal, bouncing around, now out. Davis. The call from Nicholas Balser is a throw-in for Clemson. There's no foul called, I don't believe. A foul. Little push there on Jody Brown. And so this then becomes pretty much like another corner kick opportunity for the Tigers. They've generated some good opportunities from these set pieces. Davis dials it up again. Hirschfeld again, the target. Marked well. Conti back to Davis. On her back foot a little bit. Ball does go out of bounds.
Well, they have been dangerous on set pieces, this Clemson Tigers team, throughout the season, and have to get the ball, the service, or from the corner kicks or that last set piece over the first line of defense for Florida State to be able to give Bornkamp, Hirschfeld, those players that we mentioned that are going to be the targets, an opportunity to get on the end of their service.
So many words could be used to describe this Florida State team this season. Dominant, aggressive, high scoring. Perhaps the one that best fits this semifinal so far, though, is frustrated. It's not been a typical Florida State performance in this first half so far. And Clemson, for their part, have to feel really good, I would think, Lori, about the way things are going. 8 shots in this match already. That equals the number they had in total in the ACC championship game. And in the first meeting, they had 10 totals. They're already almost there.
Oh, that's got to be a card.
Yeah.
We've seen a few tough challenges on Hal Hirschfeld, and this is her game. She is excellent in terms of tracking defensively, disrupting play, making the opposition uncomfortable. And she's going to be frustrated with that one, but it's an excellent turn to start this play from Dudley. That allows for Echegini to get beyond, puts herself in a great position right there just to get between the ball and Hal Hirschfeld. That draws the foul and the yellow card, and now you have one of your most important players sitting on a yellow card. These are the moments that can really start to shift the momentum. And when you talk about a Florida State team that's been somewhat frustrated throughout this first half, can they get on the end of this set piece, create a dangerous opportunity, force Makowitz to come up with a save, or find the back of the net to calm them down?
Moments like this can change a match. Will this be the free kick that gets Florida State going? Huff, bending it in and eventually out of bounds. And Florida State's last match before coming here to the College Cup took on another ACC team, the Pitt Panthers. And that match, Lori, was tight until Florida State got 3 goals in a matter of minutes. A couple of those penalty kicks that changed that game.
Yeah, and it's not uncommon to see this Florida State team not find the back of the net in the first half. It goes back to the point we were making a bit ago, which is it's one thing to keep this team off the board for 45 minutes. It's another to do it for 90, because they are going to push the pace. They have so many threats. If one player is not on, another's going to step up, and it just takes one opportunity for them. So for the Clemson Tigers, 15 minutes left to go in this first half. So far, so good in terms of your execution of your game plan. Can they continue that? Find moments to keep possession, be a bit more dangerous in the attack, especially off of set pieces, but build yourself into this game and the fact that can you get more numbers going forward and continue to pin Florida State back and keep them frustrated?
A couple of subs just came on. You see one right there, Leah Pace, a transfer from Pitt, who had one of those penalty kicks against her former team in the quarterfinal. And everybody is letting our referee crew hear it at the moment. Players seem frustrated. The crowd is getting antsy. Echegini looks beat up.
Well, I'm not so sure that this has been a more physical game. It's just heightened emotions. We're seeing Pinsky. He's going to get a yellow card now. And I would imagine, and we can hear from Marion, but I would imagine this is a repetitive in terms of his communication with the referee.
So there was an elbow and a trip there. The elbow intentional, I would say, from Dudley. The trip, yeah, maybe not. Maybe. A little retribution. And now it's happening almost after
well, now
every
it's
play.
getting physical. Yeah, now there's absolutely frustration setting in on both sides. Not happy with how this game is being managed by Nicholas Balser. So at some point in time right now, he's going to have to get things under control, as we're seeing him talk with Hal Hirschfeld in the middle of the field.
Lots of frustration right now just about the inconsistency of those calls. A lot of big tackles that weren't called, some that were. And there's been a lot of little nudges, right? When balls have been out of play, the play has been dead. Those are the little nudges that are really taking the emotions to another level.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see that continue to build and bubble over in this match, Marion. Clemson making a couple of changes. Jenna Tobia, a freshman who started a majority of the matches this season for the Tigers, and Sammy Meredith, a graduate forward coming on for the Tigers. Dudley the target in the box for Florida State. Meredith. Flynn, one of the more experienced players on this Florida State team. You could see just trying to calm everyone down, one of the center backs for the Seminoles. Roque as well. Davis. Enough spin on the ball to keep it in play for Bruff. Bruff, a move into the box. And that's why you have help defense. Florida State needing every bit of it. Coverage of NCAA championships continues. The Women's College Cup final Monday, December 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. For more information on the NCAA Women's College Cup, log on to ncaa.com, the official home for all 90 NCAA championships. And of course, we've got another semifinal yet to play tonight. BYU, another high-scoring offense. Stanford, that's your matchup coming up after this one. Nesbitt asking Dudley to get on her horse and go. Dudley does keep it in play, one to beat. And it's enough of a defensive play to slow down the All-American.
But it's an excellent ball from Nesbitt just to get and understand where the space is, the awareness to play that ball first time in behind, knowing that Dudley can get on the end of it. End up being a bit of a heavy touch for her to be able to keep that one in, allow for the recovery run defensively from the Tigers. But that is the right idea. Push the pace, be a bit more direct. Once the Clemson Tigers do start to step up their pressure, get more numbers forward, the space is going to be in behind for Florida State.
Be willing to change it up a little, right? And you and Marion both talked about how these teams, it's challenging, whether you've won the first two matchups of the season or you've been on the wrong end, as Clemson has, meeting for a third time. How much do you change? How much can you adjust? Because right now, Clemson has taken away what Florida State wants. Nesbitt has some time and space to work with. As Van Zanten calling for it on the far side. Nesbitt called her own number.
Well, I like the directness from Nesbitt. Just see where the space is, take that space. But the Clemson Tigers will be happy with that all game long. If they're going to shoot from distance, allow Makowitz for an easy save. One of the things that has made this Florida State team so successful throughout the season is the variety in the attack. There's two players that are coming, sandwiching Nesbitt. She gets out of it, still drawing the foul though. But they've had a variety of ways that they can attack, and they have to utilize that now to their advantage, whether it's getting the ball wide, whether it's being a bit more direct, go in combination, or get your players isolated, but have to start to take more advantage of the momentum starting to shift now in favor of this Florida State team, getting more possession, more numbers forward.
Dudley creates a corner for Florida State. Second of the match coming up for the Seminoles.
Number 3,
Taylor Huff, 7 goals, 13 assists on the season. On this field in the ACC semifinals, she had an assist off a corner kick. Delivers it with the left at the near post. Out on the other side, and Huff will trot over to try again.
Well, it did look like Makowitz was coming off her line to try to punch that one away, but in these moments, you have to be sure about it, and that's exactly what you want from your near post defender. it's Morris that just rises above, continues to flick that one on. Yes, it goes out for another corner kick, and these are the moments right here as we're going to see a few substitutions for both teams. But Huff has to serve this into the mix and allow for her teammates to get something on the end of it. Continue with this momentum and force the Clemson Tigers to pay in these moments.
Echegini and Dudley are going to get a few minutes rest here at the end of the first half. Maria Alagoa, Sophia Wynn coming on as Huff sends it in, now on this near side corner. Clemson still not out of danger. Shot and the goal! Florida State recycles the ball and breaks through! Zippe, the redshirt junior, coming off the bench for Florida State and finding the back of the net.
Well, there it is, and we mentioned just a variety of ways that they can attack, continue to push the pace, the momentum off of these last few minutes, and they just keep it alive. It's just one ball over the back of the head, and it's a lack of marking for the Clemson Tigers. Just completely lose their mark. It's a no-look pass, and then Zippe, I mean, look at that finish. Just takes it so well off the first bounce, half volley into the back of the net, and it's the Florida State Seminoles up 1-0 here in Cary, North Carolina.
Fourth goal of the season for Zippe.
And you felt it coming, Jen, because of the momentum shift. The Clemson Tigers having some of the possession, getting numbers forward, but never really that dangerous that was testing Roque. And anytime you don't take your chances, don't force the issue, it allows for this Seminole team to be able to get their way into the game, and they're not going to be kept off the scoreboard because of the threats that they have in the attack. This time it's a substitute, Zippe, putting herself in a great position, keeping herself on side, and then making the Clemson Tigers pay in that moment.
Lori, to your point, Eddie Runwatsky, for the last 10-15 minutes, he's been preaching at his team to make that switch, right? When they win the ball, he says, we are in possession, please keep it. And you could tell that was a big reason for the momentum switch as well, was because they were getting so energized by the crowd, by all of the theatrics going on, that they were struggling to make that shift.
Subs making a difference right now for Florida State. It's almost a completely changed out attacking group for the Seminoles. Pace, who was credited with the assist along with Gilchrist on that goal by Zippe. Chance to transition now for Clemson. Meredith slows it down.
Well, it's going to be a balance for the Clemson Tigers in these moments to try to get the equalizing goal, is when to keep possession, but also when can they go forward quickly, because that's how you're going to break down this Florida State team. If you allow them to get back, it's going to be difficult to break them down. But the more that you start to push players forward, that plays right into the hands of Florida State, opens up the space in behind, and they can hit you on the counter. So the balance for the Tigers is going to be important.
Tobia looking for the return pass from Miles, intercepted by Van Zanten. How good was that touch from Gilchrist to help set up the goal? She finds Nesbitt here in a pocket of space. Nesbitt still moving forward, leading the ball for Alagoa. Makowitz takes it away.
Oh, well,
offside flag up anyway.
It is offside, but Nesbitt is up for this game. We talked about her being the leader, the glue in the midfield, and look at this. She just breaks away from that initial challenge, and it all starts with the two center backs taking the space, allowing for that moment to open up for Nesbitt, but what a beautiful ball that is. Just inches offside in the end, but great work from Nesbitt, and going to be crucial throughout this game on both sides of the ball for the Seminoles.
Leilani Nesbitt, second team All-ACC selection this season in her senior year with the Seminoles. And if you're Clemson, You love that play from Makowitz. Yeah, the offside flag came up, but she lets you know.
Yep.
You're gonna meet her if you try to come into that area, and that pass was pretty near perfect from Nesbitt, but Makowitz still all over it.
Well, they're going to need that, the Clemson Tigers, from her to be aggressive off her line, proactive. One of the reasons why she's been so good, one of the best goalkeepers in the nation this season. Really fills in that space and behind the back four for the Clemson Tigers so well.
Under 5 minutes to play in our first half. Scoreless we were until the 38th minute. Florida State breaking through, the #1 overall seed in this tournament. The ACC champions for a 4th straight year. And the College Cup for a 4th straight year. And looking for national championship #4.
Well, in a completely different feel for this Florida State team right now, and it all starts with the back four. Van Zanten on this last one, just taking the space, understanding where the momentum is from the defender from the Clemson Tigers. And then they connect their pass, and that calms everybody down, because then you get Huff on the ball, she connects her next pass, it allows for the space out wide to open up. They can go 1v1, but it forces Clemson Tigers to have to get 2 players back. Well done to be able to shift the momentum, get the go-ahead goal for Florida State, and now calm themselves down and really start to dictate the tempo as the last few minutes of this first 45 see their way out.
Clemson Tigers in this record-setting season that they have had defensively. 14 shutouts in total, 13 for Makowitz, for program records. They only allowed 7 first-half goals. 4 of them have come from the Seminoles. In this, their 3rd meeting of the season. Alagoa, who's in Australia and New Zealand at the World Cup this summer, gets it to the goal scorer, Caitlin Zupe. Alagoa was an alternate for Portugal, so got to make the trip with the national team. There is World Cup experience scattered throughout this Seminole team. Jackie Brown both there as well. Flynn has it intercepted. Nobody there, though, to pick it up for Clemson.
Well, and you see Hal Hirschfeld right in the middle of the field, directing traffic, making sure that her team stays tuned in these last few minutes, because the last thing that they want to do is go down another goal to this Florida State team in this first half. So can they control things themselves, get on the ball, whether it's Hirschfeld, Conti centrally, just see this half out, regain a bit of confidence and composure going into halftime.
Hirschfeld taps it out to Davis. EY Gilchrist working together defensively for Florida State. How frustrating is that, Lori, when you think about the way that this half has gone for Clemson, and they will feel they were having their way. They weren't letting Florida State get into that rhythm in the attack. If Florida State was pressing, it wasn't necessarily resulting in turnovers or great opportunities, but now they find themselves down a goal.
Yeah, it is frustrating, and this is something that they've seen against this Florida State team a couple different times this season, so it's nothing new to them, but it's about how now the response, how do they react to going down this goal? Can they regain possession and start to build into the attack? You have to get McKenna Morris on this near side, getting higher up the field, but also Hirschfeld directing traffic in those central areas to allow for more numbers to get forward and really pin the Seminoles back in defensively that we saw the first 20, 25 minutes of this game.
Hirschfeld always finding her way to the ball for Clemson. EY up toward Alagoa, really the only player up top at the moment for Florida State. We said at the top of the broadcast, Florida State coming in looking like the team to beat in this tournament. unbeaten, the #1 overall seed in the College Cup for the 4th straight year. And for 37 minutes, Clemson looked like they might do just that. Still certainly have a chance, but right now the Tigers find themselves down 1-0 at the break after Zapay's goal in the 38th minute.
Well, it was a great game plan and execution the first 20-25 minutes for the Clemson Tigers, but then Florida State would start to calm themselves down, get a bit of a momentum shift, and then doing what they do best, finding the back of the net, putting themselves up 1-0, head into halftime.
You saw that incredible stat. When they lead at the half, they rarely lose. Let's hear from their head coach, Brian Penske, who's with Marion.
Coach, you weathered the storm for the first 10-15 minutes, pulled them out of the rhythm, get a 1-0 lead late in this half. How would you assess your team's first half performance?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a fast-paced game, a lot on the line, right? Final type of game, right? Not a real great flow for us. I think at times we're forcing stuff centrally. Got to have a little bit more patience in our build-up, right? And find the moments to go forward, and if not, let's just go backwards and keep the ball. I thought also then they broke us a couple times defensively, and if we're not ready to go and press, we just got to get behind the ball, get connected, and then find the moments where we can then repress and get a little bit higher on them.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
You got it.
Appreciate that. Hearing from Brian Penske, his team in the lead in this College Cup semifinal from Cary, North Carolina. Much more to come here from Cary, including a look at what's coming up next. We'll give you a look at our second semifinal between BYU and Stanford. Welcome back to Cary, North Carolina. ESPN Images on site for this NCAA Women's College Cup, showing you the intensity, the emotion that you always get in the postseason. We're about ready to start our second half. Florida State leading Clemson 1-0. So let's hear from Clemson head coach Eddie Radwanski, who is with Marion Crowder.
Coach, you've showed you can play with this team on multiple occasions. What do you need to do to get the equalizer and see this game?
Well, I actually thought we played quite well in the first half. When we connect passes and we show our composure, the best of our game comes out. So we just need to continue to get balls into penetrated areas and take advantage of it. There's opportunities in the back stick. There's opportunities on cutback ball. This game's not over yet.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
I love it. It's not over yet. We've got 45 minutes to go here in Cary. The winner of this one moving on to the College Cup final on Monday night. Stanford BYU coming up in our second semifinal, but off we go for the second half between Florida State and Clemson. Jen Hildreth, Lori Lindsay, Marion Crowder, glad to have you along for the ride. When you're fresh off those halftime talks, so interesting to see how both teams maybe come out and play the first few minutes. It's Florida State on the front foot, but just out of the reach of the foot of the ACC Offensive Player of the Year, Onia Chigini.
Well, and I think this is what the Florida State Seminoles are going to need to do, is push the pace. We didn't see that the first 10-15 minutes as we expected, but now can they have a bit more nuance in their attack, continue to find the wide areas, draw out this Clemson Tiger team, but also make it a little bit less predictable for them to be able to tackle, hit the Seminoles in terms of physicality that we saw in the first 45 minutes. And then for the Clemson Tigers, as we mentioned, and we just heard Eddie Radwanski say, keep possession, look to see if they can continue to create, but I think it's going to be that space right in front of the back four for the Clemson Tigers that they can exploit against the Seminoles.
Well, Clemson has scored 7 goals in this NCAA tournament. 5 of them have come after halftime. Chigini and the Seminoles on the attack here. You may have seen just a few moments ago how good Florida State, though, has been all season long in the second half, outscoring opponents 49-4. They have just consistently, Lori, as the season has gone on, as games go on, they find a way to get better. That is an intense challenge there from Danny Davis. And the elbow you could see extended there from Jordan Dudley, what got the whistle blown. Bornkamp flicking it forward. No one really there to make a meal of it for Clemson. Hirschfeld playing on a yellow card, only one that's been handed out so far, other than one that was given to Florida State head coach Brian Penske.
Well, and Hirschfeld has been excellent so far in this game. She has been everywhere, whether it's joining into the attack, but also doing exactly what she's expected to do. Move the ball, move it side to side, put herself in good positions defensively to intercept passes, and then be able to build into the attack. They're going to need that from her these next 45 minutes to be able to find the equalizer, but also pick their moments when they're going to take the risks and also just settle themselves down, knowing that there's plenty of time left to go in this game.
You just heard Ed Rabonski say, connect your passes, keep your composure. When Clemson does that, they feel like they can play the game they want to play. And here they're going to get a corner kick to start off the second half. Had just 2 of them in the first half. Scored off of a corner kick in the ACC championship. It's taken quickly. I'm sure many were ready for that. It just winds up going way down the field. Makowitz will come all the way out to get it.
And I'm not sure why this Clemson Tigers team is playing those balls short, because they have the aerial advantage against Seminoles with Bornkamp, Hal Hirschfeld. These players can get on the end of it, and we mentioned that was how they scored their goal in the ACC championship. So flight balls in that are dangerous, allow your teammates to get on something, and then force a save from Roque, or at least cause some sort of trouble, chaos inside the 18-yard box.
Bornkamp has been busy, gotten on a lot of balls here in these first few minutes of the second half for Clemson. That fulcrum in the middle of the front line. Davis makes her way into the attack, out to Bruff. Bruff got past one defender. Gilchrist always there to help defensively for Florida State. Davis staying in an advanced attacking position, sends her cross through, and Roque comes out to grab it. Same starting 11 for both teams out on the field to start this second half. Chigini has really had a rough go of it so far. I think Clemson remembering that brace that she had in the ACC championship.
Yeah, we're going to see Bornkamp. Well, it's Chigini on this far side, trying to break away from McKenna Morris, but great defense from McKenna Morris, and just a good battle, yes. Chigini gets the worst of it, looking for the foul in the end, but I think that is the type of matchup that you're looking for in this game and you would expect in a semifinal game, but we are going to see the foul on the other end. Bornkamp not able to win the foot race, just pulls back the defender of Florida State, and this is where they have to be a bit better. Unnecessary, you just allow for Florida State to be able to reset, play it higher up the field. Can't let them off the hook that easily.
Seminoles, the team with the experience. They've been here before as a program. These players have been here before. 14th College Cup overall, 4th in a row for this Florida State program. And for Clemson here for the first time ever. Quick look over the shoulder. Conti saw some space. What can she do with it?
But that's the space, Shannon. That's the exact space that we've been talking about, right in front of the back four for the Seminoles. Can it be a bit more precise of a turn for Conti to be able to get her head up and then go herself instead of trying to feather that ball into the box?
Conti on it again. Bornkamp. Not on target. Clemson started this game so strong. All 8 of their shots coming in the first 20 minutes, but they've cooled off really since that time. And this Florida State team, which has yet to concede a goal in the NCAA tournament, actually ties the most shots that they have conceded in a half, but none of those finding the back of the net yet for Clemson. The team looking to avenge a couple of losses already to this Seminole team, including one a month ago here in Cary at the ACC championship. Here they come on the attack again. Jody Brown still down behind the play for Florida State. Van Zanten clears it out with some authority. Concern for Brown. Second team All-American, first team All-ACC for the Seminoles this year.
And it almost looks like as Bruff comes down, her cleat catches the back leg of Jody Brown. Let me see her back up.
This could be Jordan Dudley time. Dudley on the breakaway for Florida State. Takes her shot, ties it up! Doubles the lead, I should say. Jordan Dudley adding on another for Florida State as they make it 2 over Clemson.
And it's just so clinical, it's so incisive. It gets herself isolated, takes on 1v1, and just sees off the initial challenge, just rounds the corner, and then, my goodness, makes no mistake about it. Top corner, says thank you very much. 2-0 the Seminoles, and really starts to put this game out of reach. What a finish that is for the freshman. Her 13th of the season, 3rd of the NCAA tournament, and this is why she is so special, because she might not have a ton of touches so far in this second half, but the ones that she does, she makes the opposition pay. What a goal that is from the young player.
Had to hit it right, had Hallie Makowitz closing down the space, but Jordan Dudley showing why she has been so special all season long. Her 13th goal of the season, and for Florida State, they don't usually win by just one. Multiple goals has been part of their story for this high-scoring attack that is #1 in the nation in goals per game.
And really against the run of play again, because it's a space that's starting to open up. You know that the Clemson Tigers have to get numbers forward, flood the 18-yard box, join into the attack. Well, that opens up the space. We saw Etchegini earlier on trying to get isolated 1v1 against McKenna Morris. This time it's Jordan Dudley. She gets herself 1v1 and then makes no mistake about it. And that is the variety of threats that we talk about, Jen, for this Florida State team. They can go in combination, but once the space opens up, they can go in transition. And this is the best team in transition in the nation, and we just saw it right there.
How does this change things for Clemson now trailing by 2 goals?
Yeah, it's tough because not only do you start to lose confidence, but you also know how you have to open yourself up a bit defensively, and that plays right into the hands of this Florida State team. So Hirschfeld, McKenna Morris, can you start to get those players higher up the field? But again, 1 goal is all you need to cut this lead in half. It just takes 1, build yourself in, but you have to go a bit more quickly into the attack, see if you can get 1 back here sooner than later.
Yeah, no shots in the game yet for McKenna Morris, leading scorer on the season for Clemson. Deanna Olsen in the middle of the field for Florida State. Takes a redirection out of bounds. It'll be a deep throw for the Seminoles. Nesbitt. Dudley. Just out of the reach of Jody Brown. Out for a Clemson goal kick. Quite a year for Jordan Dudley. Will it be a championship year? They already have an ACC championship, the Florida State Seminoles. Will they add their 4th NCAA championship? So it has been an incredible, unbelievable, unbeaten season so far. Not the best of touches. Keeps us alive for Tatum Short and Clemson. Etchegini has Olsen on the run. Did she stay onside? No, the flag does come up.
Yeah, love the look though. And just Olsen towing the line, looking to get in behind. You had the ball to feet, but they opt to go over the top to Olsen, just a tad offside in the end. But that's the space that we're talking about that the Florida State Seminoles can execute as this game starts to open up.
Hornkamp. Here's McKenna Morris putting the ball in the box.
And they need this more from Bornkamp. Just drop in deep, play as almost like a number 10 so you can be the outlet then to be able to play runners that are trying to get in behind. That forces the two center backs of the Seminoles to decide if they're going to go with her or they're going to stay, and that opens up the space right in front of the back line. And once again, that is where Clemson can be dangerous, just not exploiting it enough.
Some words exchanged between Jordan Dudley and Mackenzie Duff after Duff was called for the foul.
There's the pressure that we heard Marion talk about from Brian Pinsky in that first half that he didn't feel like he saw enough of from his front runners the first 20, 25 minutes. That allowed for Clemson to get a foothold in this game, but now the pressure coming fast and furious, so typical of this Seminoles offense. Difficult right now for the Tigers to be able to build out of the back for them.
Jen, Lori, there haven't been a lot of changes here as far as the energy on the sideline. They've still got the band playing. You've still got a lot of fans engaged. The bench is still up. But Eddie Renwatsky has gotten his pen and his paper out for the first time this game. You have to assume that there's going to be some tactical changes coming, Lori, to your point, to deal with this huge momentum shift.
And we'll see what Coach Renwatsky and Clemson have up their sleeve. They're going to need something. And we knew coming into this game, Clemson was going to have to play at their best and maybe even a little better than that. They had to have some things go well because this Florida State team has just been unbeatable all season long.
Yeah, and the challenge for this Clemson Tigers team is that they don't have a ton of out-and-out pace that's going to beat the opposition in behind. So there's never this direct outlet immediately to be able to open up the game. And then that's where Bornkamp comes in, is just drift into the midfield at times and then forced to ask those questions of those two center backs. That's when you can open up the game, because then the gaps start to open up, whether it's in front of the back line of the Seminoles or in those wide channels once you do get the runners going forward and you've gained a little bit of possession.
Dudley facing the goal again. Gets it away to Olsen. Ronnie Y with the throw. She'll get it back from Dudley. That's how you connect some passes if you're Florida State, but not the finish or the cross that EY was looking for. Florida State, though, leading this one, Lori, 2-0.
Yeah, and late in the first half, and this would be the dagger because it was a good game plan for the Clemson Tigers early on, but then it would be the Seminoles doing what they do best, substitutes of pay coming in, putting them up 1-0, and then the game is starting to open up. They'll thrive even more, especially this young player, and my goodness, what a finish that was for her. 13th of the season, 3rd of the NCAA tournament, and she has just been a joy to watch all season long.
2 goals on the last 4 shots that the Seminoles have taken. Clemson, meanwhile, no shots in the last 30 minutes. Couple changes coming for Clemson. Will we see more changed on the field? Lane St. George, didn't see her in the first half, and Sydney Benerick, who has been a good spark off the bench. These 2 players both coming into the match for the Tigers.
Number 11, Tatum Short.
Emily Bruff, Tatum Short, the 2 to come off. In college soccer, you are allowed a re-entry in the second half, so typically you can see teams on their bench a bit more in the last 45 minutes. Echegini. A brace last time out against the Clemson Tigers in the ACC Championship. Dudley looking back for Echegini. Makowitz is out, but the offside flag is up. Got some basketball coming your way, and Sunday our featured matchups for the Jimmy V Women's Classic have top-ranked South Carolina taking on Duke just down the road. That's at 1 Eastern. That'll be followed by number 11 UConn against number 10 Texas at 3 on ABC. Then number 16 Ohio State against number 20 Tennessee at 5 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Some space opening up for the Seminoles in the attack now. And with St. George stepping in on the back line, McKenna Morris stepping up into a more advanced position. She's right there at the middle of the field. Ball didn't quite make it to her as Leilani Nesbitt took it away for Florida State.
Well, same as Danny Davis is also playing in a more advanced role as well. That is her typical position.
Here is Morris on the run. Too much sauce on that pass.
As we are going to see Danny Davis just sit right next to Hal Hirschfeld as well, just to anchor the midfield. As we mentioned, she's been playing left back this entire season, but she is more of a midfield by trade. So steps up into that position, and we'll see how this changes the momentum for the Clemson Tigers as they're already stepping up the pressure higher up the field. And well done from the Seminoles to draw this foul.
Renee Lyles whistled for the foul, so putting the ball back in possession of Florida State. Gilchrist, the sophomore. That's such an important piece of this Florida State defense. Huff is so in control when she has the ball at her feet. Echegini lays it off beautifully for EY. Back in the middle it goes. Clemson defense aware of what the Seminoles were up to.
Well, and you know this is when Florida State is starting to fire on all cylinders, getting EY, Van Zanten on the other side, the two outside backs higher up the field. Both of those two players have been such an important piece in the attack. Yes, we talked about the front runners, but let's not forget EY, 8 assists on the season, and a lot of that has to do with her streaking down that right-hand side, joining into the attack. Then you get more numbers in the box, continuing to cause problems and ask questions of the opposition back line.
Leah Pace has come back into the match on the ball there for just a moment for Florida State, replacing Jody Brown. It's been one of the quieter games for Jody, the Jamaican international for Florida State. St. George stretched out to save the ball and save possession for the Tigers. Bornkamp brings it down. Such a great mind for the game. It's to Morris.
Well, and that's got to be the game plan. Play it into Bornkamp, whether she's drifting into the midfield or just staying a bit higher, get the runners off of her, but immediately after she lays that off to McKenna Morris, get inside the 6-yard box, be an outlet into the service, and allow for Morris to be able to go 1v1. Does well on that far side to earn this corner kick.
These are the moments you play for, the moments you need to capitalize on if you're Clemson down 2. Bending it in right in front of the goal, the shot, and it is not on target.
But that was a chance for Megan Bornkamp. Does so well just to peel off, doesn't get it initially, it falls right to her. And it's almost like she slices through it, leaning back just a bit. That one goes just wide of the post. But these are the opportunities. Continue to push the pace. Use this momentum to your advantage if you're the Clemson Tigers. You have to get one back here early.
And it's a start. That corner kick generating the first shot for the Tigers in 37 minutes in this match. Pace at midfield for Florida State. Echegini. What a ball, through to Huff, but her first touch, bit much.
Well, one of the big turning points for Florida State in that first half was when Flynn, Gilchrist, the two center backs, started to take the space on the dribble. That occupies one of the center forwards for the Tigers to have to follow them, mark defensively, and that's when the space opens up. Just a bit too heavy of a touch for Huff there in the end, but you can see the gaps that's starting to open up, and this is what Florida State does to the opposition. You're so tired from defending. There's different threats across the field. Don't track runners, space opens up, and you're gonna get a runner out of the midfield from Florida State, whether it's Huff, whether it's Jody Brown, at different times in this game.
And at this point, Clemson has to take more risks, right? They've got to commit more numbers forward. They've got to try to make something happen on the offensive end of the field. Saw these two subs come on in the first half as well. Jenna Tobia, Sammy Meredith into the match for Clemson, and the one who scored the first goal of this match, Caitlin Zippe, coming back onto the field for Florida State.
For Florida State, number 6, Anya Echegini, replaced by number 15, Caitlin Zippe.
Echegini coming off. ACC Offensive Player of the Year. First team All-ACC, Herman semifinalist, first team All-American for Echegini. What a year she has had to lead the way for this Florida State team, which is looking to take one step further than it did last year in the Seminoles' first year under Brian Penske. They lost in this round in the semifinal of the College Cup against North Carolina. And any moment Florida State can take some time, they will take some time from this point out.
And it's smart, and I was just about to make the point, Jen, of seeing Echegini in the rotation of that front line. It's smart for Brian Penske and his staff because, yes, there's still 20 minutes plus to go in this game, and the last thing you want to do is concede a goal to cut this lead in half to the Clemson Tigers, but managing this game, getting fresher legs in, but also it saves you in anticipation to go into that national championship on Monday with a quick turnaround. How do you deal with that? Well, you can rotate players, and the substitutes for the Seminoles have been excellent. As we saw Zippe come back onto this field, she's the one that got the go-ahead goal in the first half.
BYU, Stanford coming up in our second semifinal of the night. Shot from distance, an easy save for Roque. Well, that was the player, though, Carolyn Conti, Lori, that you said really has to be involved. She's been so clutch this season for this Clemson team. Dudley lifts her head. Diagonal ball for Zippe. Zippe looking for the brace, makes the move, takes the shot, it's deflected.
I thought Nesbeth was lining up to go from like 50 yards out.
She may have been.
I was bracing.
Seen that move before, but here comes Morris. Gets a touch, but over the crossbar.
Well, and there's a ball from Dudley just to pick out her teammate of Zippe. And these are the wide channels that I think they have to continue to utilize as this game wears down, because you get isolated in these positions. And Zippe just twists and turns her defender, gets herself a little window to unleash that shot. Big save from Makowitz. But I was laughing because I wouldn't be surprised if Nesbeth steps up and tries to hit from that distance. Got a little away from her, and on the other end, we saw McKenna Morris showing her pace and her ability to get in behind, cause some problems over the crossbar in the end, and still 2-0 in favor of the Seminoles.
Time running out for the Clemson Tigers on this historic season that has seen them make their first ever College Cup appearance. But never did Eddie Radwanski and this team want their journey or anticipate their journey ending here. They always had eyes on the bigger prize. And they find a way to come back here against this Florida State team as we said, has been so dominant in the second half, especially outscoring opponents now 50-4 on the season.
Well, and you really love the story of this Clemson Tigers team. Lost in the first round the previous 2 seasons. This year in the spring, made the commitment, hey, let's be a little bit more serious. We have the talent, we have the ability, but we have to commit to it. And that's when they really started to take hold of this team, and it was the leadership group that got everybody rallied around the team. Hal Hirschfeld, Conti, these players, McKenna Morris, all of these players just saying, hey, we can go far, we can go deep into this tournament. Came out from the opening whistle of this season and have shown how good this team really can be.
And Laura, you know, that was a big decision factor for why a lot of those leaders took their 5th year. They just felt like they weren't done at Clemson. They did not want to leave on the note they did last season.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Marion. And you know, one of the big turning points as well is they had the belief from themselves, they had the belief from their coaching staffs, but then they got the #1 seed in the tournament, and they were like, that's the acknowledgement that we wanted. We've gone on to put up some really good results in this NCAA tournament and hoping to at least push a little bit here at the end against this high-powered offense of Florida State.
That acknowledgement from the outside. It's just not your coaches telling you how good you are. The rest of the country is seeing it too. Right, that's what it feels like. Conti taking it away. Meredith. Huff. Hayes was waiting and ready for the ball, but Clemson did enough at least to disrupt that passing sequence by the Seminoles. Hayes. This is the look of a team that is in command. Huff takes the shot, takes a deflection off the post.
Well, command is exactly right, and Huff has been such an important piece to this Seminoles team. The transfer from Tennessee, getting on the end of this, just as patient as she goes on this dribble. The space opens up, she gets deflection. Unfortunately, she also gets the ricochet off the crossbar. That doesn't find the back of the net. That would have sealed the deal here for the Seminoles, but that two-way midfielder for Huff has been excellent and a crucial additional piece to the Seminoles and their success this season.
Jody Brown back into the match. Jordan Dudley getting some rest for Florida State as the seconds tick away. 16 minutes away from a spot in the national championship game on Monday for Florida State. No whistle on that play. Here is Brown. A lot of space for EY, looking for that first touch. Brown right at Makowitz.
Well, EY Brown just showing some magic. Combination down this right-hand side. Excellent initial challenge for EY, for her then to be able to get higher up the field. Brown starts it, then gets on the end of it. Just not enough to be able to beat Makowitz, but an excellent combination between those two players. And not only in command, but starting to fire on all cylinders. And this is the execution, the style of play that we're so accustomed to seeing from the Seminoles throughout this season.
Nesbeth. Back to EY it goes. You take Davis out of that left back spot, it looks a lot different on the right side of the attack for Florida State. More room to work with, and they're taking advantage of it. Huff, back to Brown. Meredith.
Yeah, great
Flynn
work.
right on her back.
Yeah, great work from Flynn, and they have been excellent, the two center backs. Being aggressive with their approach, stepping up, knowing that Meredith or Bornkamp, whatever two are in the game, They're going to play back to goal, so you can be more aggressive with your pressure, step up, not allow them to turn. That's been the difference in this second half. Condensing the field, not allowing the Clemson Tigers to be able to get in behind or work others into the game. And now they build into these moments, and they're just going to see this game out. They're going to be patient. They're going to look for the spaces to open up, switch the point of attack when necessary.
Nesbitt. Will this be her moment to crack one toward goal? Nope, she's going to look for EY instead. EY having her way. A senior out of Tokyo, Japan. Getting a lot of the ball here in these last few minutes for Florida State, helping them keep possession, stay comfortably in front. A trio of substitutions getting ready to come back into the match for Clemson. But first, the Tigers will have to contend with this free kick for the Seminoles. UI on the ground to Huff. Still with the ball at her feet, now tapped out of bounds. It will be a Florida State corner. And that will allow the subs to come into the game. Bornkamp, Bruff, Lyles all back on for the Tigers. And you could imagine this will be the final push. Whatever Eddie Radwanski was talking to those starters about on the bench, they'll try now to share that message with everyone else. They have to defend this corner kick first and then see if they can find a way into the attack. Here comes the corner, and that'll be a favor for Clemson to get them out of it. Set up the goal kick. Well, College Football Conference Championship weekend continues tomorrow when Oklahoma State takes on Texas in the Big 12 at noon Eastern. Then Louisville and Florida State for the ACC crown at 8 Eastern. It all culminates Sunday at noon with the exclusive reveal of the final college football playoff rankings. That's when we'll know the top 4 teams playing for the national championship. And Florida State Seminoles in that ACC championship game, an unbeaten season. Certainly some big injuries that the Seminoles have taken on the football side. This women's soccer team for Florida State rolling right along. Look like they've been here before. They certainly have. One of the X factors you identified early on for this matchup, Lori, would be that experience of Florida State, and they're using it now to try to hold off this Clemson team.
Yeah, weather the storm early on, because you have to give a lot of credit to the Clemson Tigers early on in this game. Exactly what they want to do, create some lulls in the game in terms of keeping possession, get more numbers forward. But then with Florida State weathering the storm, getting out of the frustration, starting to connect their passes, they earn set pieces, they push and pin this Clemson Tigers in defensively, and then they get the go-ahead goal. And now they've been able to manage this game in the second half. Spaces opened up and behind. Dudley takes her opportunity so wonderfully, and that really has been the difference in this game. And now Florida State slowing things down, managing the game, managing possession themselves, and really shifted the momentum after that first goal.
And you can see in this wonderful season that Clemson has had, they have not found themselves down 2 very often. Does Brown stay on here? She does. Jody Brown to make it 3, denied once. Makowitz again keeps the ball out of the net.
Well, great work from Makowitz just to come off, be proactive once again, really cut down the angle.
Makowitz doing her job to prevent any further damage. How can the offense do its job for Clemson? That was always going to be the question. Would the Clemson offense find enough in this match against Florida State? Bornkamp Miles. Morris, one of those leaders who came back, those veterans who wanted more. Conti, another one for Clemson, looking for something special out of this season.
Well, Nesbitt just showing her class. Playing final passes. That time, Jody Brown getting on the end of it, but it's Makowitz. She's been good for this Clemson Tigers team because there's been some other opportunities for them to really put some separation between them and this Clemson team, but Makowitz coming up big, closes down the angles. We're gonna see an opportunity here at this other end. Roque easily handled from the Florida State goalkeeper.
Two excellent goalkeepers, as you would imagine. You get to this level, you have to have that. Conti, give me a chance, get me closer to the goal. Tigers doing all they can, and all their attacking personalities up on the field. Sydney Manerick will take the throw. Ball into the box. Davis has two defenders around her. Morris, trapped in the corner, earns the corner for her team. Fifth corner of the match for Clemson. Can it be a difference maker?
Davis taking the corner kick for Clemson.
Everybody up now in purple as Davis delivers with the left foot. Bornkamp to it first. Morris going right back to Bornkamp, and then it winds up in the gloves of Roque. Coverage of NCAA championships continues with the Women's College Cup final Monday, December 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. For more information on the NCAA Women's College Cup, log on to ncaa.com, the official home for all 90 NCAA championships. Florida State with the advantage at the moment, trying to get to that final. And they'll face the winner if they move on here against Stanford or BYU. That second semifinal coming up next here on ESPNU. First kick slated for 8:30 p.m.
Well, how about Van Zanten on that far side? Just the freshman coming in. Initially not getting a ton of starts, but worked her way into the starting lineup, and much like the two center backs of Flynn and Gilchrist and EY as well, been excellent. Really good balance amongst those four. Well, who's going to push forward? Who's going to get into the attack? Other three just stay pinched in. Defensively, Van Zanten's been excellent.
Mimi Van Zanten, younger sister of Kiki Van Zanten, plays for Notre Dame. Fun moment this season when Florida State and Notre Dame faced off, and the Van Zanten family went all out with their gear. That was split right down the middle. And the Seminoles and the Irish. Got to enjoy those moments as parents and family. And you can bet Mimi Van Zanten and Florida State enjoying this moment right now. Still have 5 minutes to go. Florida State up 2-0 over the Tigers.
Laura, you mentioned that the back line for Florida State is just showing out right now. You can tell they've been playing with the chip on their shoulder, not only in their 1v1 defending and their ability to win the ball, but also in their ability to connect the game for Florida State. And one thing that I'm noticing, sometimes it's so hard to see up there in the booth because it's so small, but the nuance of the movement from the Florida State midfielders makes the defenders' job so much easier. They are always finding a clear passing lane and moving immediately after they win it, or they need to find the next one, and it just makes life so much simpler for the defenders.
Yeah, and on the defensive side, they've done such a better job, the midfield staying connected to that back line of Florida State, making sure they stay tight between the lines. That's where this Clemson Tigers team was having success early on in this game, but once they close those gaps, difficult for Clemson to find a ton of space, and that allowed for that momentum shift that we've talked about. It's been in favor of the Florida State once they got the go-ahead goal.
Go-ahead goal coming in the 38th minute. Caitlin Zuppe and then Jordan Dudley scoring her 13th goal of the season in the 53rd minute to account for our 2-0 scoreline. Roque, for her part, 5 saves in the match, 4 on the other end for Makowitz. Olsen. Brown. Florida State content to just keep it in the corner at the moment. The space that was given for Olsen was heading toward goal. 6 goals, 7 assists this season for Olsen. Started her career at Florida, but now settled in this her 3rd season with the Seminoles. A couple more subs for Clemson getting on the field to experience this College Cup. Emma Winner, sophomore, number 13, and Gabby Gambino, another sophomore. As Gruff and Davis come off, a round of applause from the Clemson fans here in attendance. Future bright for those two and this Clemson program. Gruff, just a sophomore, Davis, a freshman.
And what a performance from this Florida State team. And maybe not their best to start this game. Little nervy, forced the issue a bit that we aren't accustomed to seeing from the Seminoles team, especially in the attack, typically firing on all cylinders, but a sign of a really quality team, an experienced team in these heightened moments, able to weather the storm, get the go-ahead goal, and then they've been in complete control in this second half. And it is going to be a fun final regardless if it's Stanford or BYU, because one thing we know about the Seminoles, they are going to push, they are going to look to score goals, and they are going to put teams under pressure, and we've seen that. It's been a difficult game for the Clemson Tigers, and not an easy feat if you're the Seminoles, beating this Clemson Tigers team, not over yet, but 3 times in one season. They did that with Pitt, and now again here with Clemson as this scoreline stays the same.
Florida State has tasted success here in Cary many times before. Do they have an extra one to tack on now? Olsen batted up and over the crossbar by Makowitz. Seminoles 11-1-1 in their last 13 games played here in Cary. They won a national championship here in 2018.
And there it's Olsen, and does well to put herself in between to be able to cut off the defender, but it also cuts down her angle. Bit of uncharacteristic mistake there for Makowitz, just seeing that, taking her eyes off of it. Sets up what I'd imagine the last corner kick of this game for Florida State, and they'll be happy just to slow things down, not even put this one into play, or ultimately just go short, keep it here in the corner.
Let's play a little keep away if they can, as the seconds tick away and the Seminoles are staring down a trip back to that national championship game. Season over for Clemson. Seminoles moving on. What a run What a dynasty developing at Florida State, making their 4th championship appearance in the last 5 seasons.
And just so many threats in the attack, so difficult to defend consistently. We said, yes, teams can keep them at bay for 45. So difficult to do that for 90. We saw that again tonight. Haven't conceded a goal in an NCAA tournament. So not only high-powered offense, but so good defensively as well, and deserved win and for this Florida State team, but unfortunate for the Clemson Tigers with the run that they've had throughout this season.
Well, you gave that Florida State defense some well-deserved love, but how about the offense in this one? The galvanizing breakthrough goal in the 38th minute.
We've talked so much, Jen, about the front 5 for this Florida State team, but how about the substitutes making this Clemson Tigers team pay? Comes off of a set piece, they keep it alive, and then does a pay. My goodness, takes it off of the half bounce, finds the back of the net, put them up 1-0 headed into halftime, and then Dudley, take a bow. You've been excellent all season long. Top corner, thank you very much. 2-0 Seminoles, and that will put this game out of reach. What a goal, what a game from the Seminoles tonight.
So you can fill in that spot for Florida State. The #1 overall seed moves on with their 21st win of the season. They await the winner of our next semifinal. BYU and Stanford will be coming up next here on ESPNU. Final score, 2-0 here in our first semifinal. Before we get you to that next semifinal, and Carrie, we've got women's college volleyball, the 5th set. That's coming up next. And then, you think this Florida State offense is impressive? Let's see what BYU and Stanford has to say. Lots more to come here from Carrie.